Hey everyone, I'm here to show you how you can connect your QuickBooks data to Equals. We'll start with a blank worksheet here, and I'll go to my Connections tab, Connect Data Source, and let's go to QuickBooks. You'll see that I'm given three ways that I could connect my data. The first one is a report sync. This pulls down a lot of the pre-built reports that you already have available in QuickBooks, like your P&L, your balance sheet, and just pulls them into Equals. You can run a query builder, which allows you to select certain tables within QuickBooks, relevant fields, apply filters, etc., all without having to write any SQL. Or you can query the data in SQL directly. We'll start with the report sync because I think that offers a ton of value out of the box. And I clicked on the wrong one, but here's my report sync. And let's select my P&L. You see that I'm given options to either look at this from a cash or accrual perspective. Let's look at last fiscal year. Let's look at this by month. I don't need to apply any filters at this time. So let's go ahead and pull this down. Awesome. So this is my data as you would see it in QuickBooks. You've got your revenue up top, your cost of goods sold, some expenses, etc. If you were to download a CSV from QuickBooks and upload it into a spreadsheet, this is how it would look. However, it's a little difficult to manipulate all of the cells with this raw data, just given some of the white space and indentations. So at Equals, we've given you the ability to flatten this file. So if I sync this report again, you'll see that it comes down in a much more friendly manner from which you can later do additional analysis. Okay, so now that I have my data pulled down, of course, this operates just like a spreadsheet. So I'm going to add some calculated columns to the right of it. Let's just calculate the month and the year. And I'm all set with this tab. The last thing I want to showcase is you can, of course, schedule this report. So if you wanted this to update on a daily basis with your new numbers coming in, you can set that up right here. All right, let's jump to my P&L. So with this underlying data, I have built out a P&L chart. To build this out, I am essentially just writing sum if formulas to pull down what my cost of goods sold was in January from that underlying sheet. And I've done that across. So I've got my revenue, my cost of goods sold, I've got some departmental spend, my net income, my gross margin, and some departmental spend as a percent of revenue. So these are all the things that I care about. And then down below, I've just built some charts all for some key metrics. The next thing I want to highlight is this feature here in the top left corner, and we call this auto expand. So as I click on this, you'll see that my January 2024 data appears in column O. And what this allows for is as your data is on a scheduled refresh and populates with new data, your charts and tables on this cell will also update and continue to build out. So if you have no end date on that, this will build out as new data comes in, which is a great feature. Okay, so let's jump to my dashboard now. You see that I have a QuickBooks financial statement summary, and let's just start to build that out. So I'm going to select my 4 charts that I've built out on that page. Oh, my icon is getting in the way. And let's make my revenue large. Let's make my gross margin large. Let's expand my department spend and percent of revenue. Okay, this is maybe how I want to look at the world. Also within dashboards, I'm able to select a table, which I think is really hard to do in other tables or across other BI tools. But here you can just select that table and it drops in. And then from here, I can share this out with my stakeholders, Slack, email, Google Slides, etc., on a recurring basis. Okay, so here's my QuickBooks data. This is super helpful. The next thing I want to show you is looking at the P&L and then trying to identify more granular information from that. Like I think this P&L is really helpful to help me understand what's happening. But one thing I noticed in this is that my software and web services expenditures in October of 2023 were, 50% higher than the prior month. And that's something that I want to figure out why that's happening. So the next thing that you could do is let's build another report. I'm going to type in QuickBooks and I'm going to go to my report sync. I'll pull down this time a P&L detail chart. I'll pull all the columns I recommend. Let's flatten this. Let's look at the period that I care about, which was October through October. And this time I'm going to filter on my software and web services profile. Let's sync that report. And if I look at my amount category, you'll see that it totals the same that I saw in the other tab. So this is a way that you can net out, like line item by line item, what's happening and maybe what's changing month over month. Okay, great. So those were two ways that you could connect to QuickBooks via the report sync. I also want to show you how you can connect with SQL directly. So here, I'm going to pull from my vendor table, and let's just pull the ID, whether or not they're active, maybe their display name, limit this by 10, and then we'll go ahead and pull this down. So aside from the pre-built reports, you can also look at all these granular nuggets of information here. So here's a vendor list. The last thing I want to show is, like, once you have a vendor list, you can do all the data manipulation that you would want to in spreadsheets. So here is an example of my Loom expenditure over the last time period that I care about. I can see that my spend towards Loom is 5x more than it was a few months ago, but that we're still only paying about $50 a month towards that. I'm recording this video on Loom, so I think that that's pretty great value. Yeah, Equals and QuickBooks works great together. I hope you have fun exploring it.